Chapter 9, Part 1, Asexual Reproduction. What is the importance of reproduction? It is to produce new generation of individuals to replace those members that die, to ensure the continuation of the species. Basic types of reproduction: asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. So today we learn about asexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction produces an offspring from single parents without a fusion of gametes. It produces offspring by mitosis. New organism will be exactly like its parent. In bacteria are tiny single-celled organisms. They reproduce by a process called binary fission. In binary fission, one bacterium grows an exact copy of its DNA call, which carries its genetic information. Then, the bacterium completely divides, which one DNA call in the parent and one in daughter's bacterium. Each bacterium can undergo binary fission once every 20 minutes, making them able to reproduce massive numbers from one parent in very little time. Binary fission, like in amoeba process, pseudopoda will be withdrawn. Nucleus will be divided into two, and two daughter amoeba will form. Budding, for example yeast process, involves parent cell produces small outgrowth. Outgrowth detaches from parent cell, and then a new cell is formed. Cells of the daughter cell is usually smaller than parent cell. Sporulation, for example mucor process, hyphae develop swellings or sporangiums at the tips. Hundreds of spores are formed in the sporangium. Sporangium bursts open and liberates the spores. Lastly, the spores will be carried by wind and will germinate under suitable conditions. Here is a mucor. So a mucor would have a lot of spores contained within a sporangium. The sporangium is black when ripe, and when they are immature, they are colorless and white. They produce spores for asexual reproduction, and they are connected to the hyphae by a sporangiophore. Here you can see spores which are contained in a sporangium. Sporangium which is still intact, sporangium which have been burst, and both of them. Now for vegetative propagation. In vegetative propagation, the principle will be a plant. It will form a new bud, and then adventitious roots will form and absorb water and the mineral salt for the young plant, and then parent plant will develop green leaves for photosynthesis. And lastly, all vegetative propagation plants would have a storage organ which is underground. So food will be stored there and not exported to the parent plant. So you have a parent plant, then you have a bud. So the bud is a child. So the parent plant will feed the child with photosynthesis, and it will dump all of the food in that storage organ. And then the new plant, the child, will take food from that underground storage organ. So that's how vegetative propagation happens. They do not need any seeds. They do not need any flowers. They just will survive with their storage organ. Next, the bud will be formed for growth in the next growing season. Adult shoot will die down in dry season. So because it is too dry, they are unable to survive, so the adult shoot will die, but they are still alive underground. So underground, they will remain dormant until next year. So that's why the organs are called perennating organs. So they persist for a whole year. For our first vegetative plant, we can describe them as tubers. Tubers are various types of modified plant structures that are enlarged to store nutrients. They are used by plants to survive winter and dry months, to provide energy and nutrients for the growth during the next growing season, and as a means of asexual reproduction. In asexual propagation, tiny scale leaves equipped with buds grow on its eyes. Each of these buds can form a new plant, genetically identical to the parent. You can see this is a potato with a bud, many buds actually, and within the bud you can see there's a scaly. So each potato plant would have a big root called the adventitious root. From this root there will be a lot of tubers growing, to mean that the potato plant will make food and then will feed the food into that potato or the tuber. So the parent tuber, after many years, it will decay, but new tubers will be formed. Next will be corms. A corm, bulbar tuber, is a short vertical swollen underground plant stem. It serves as a storage organ used by some plants to survive winter and other adverse conditions such as summer drought and heat. The word cormous is used to describe plants growing from corms, analogy to use of tuberous and bulbous to describe plants growing from tubers and bulbs. For example, taro, bananas and crocus. So this is a yearly cycle of corm. And so we have in spring the food passes into the leaves, and then the food will be stored in the corm, which is a storage organ underground. So a new corm forms here by swelling at the base of the stem, and the corm will store food in the swollen stem. Okay, so buds develop on the corm, which develops each year from the base of the flower shoot. So what happens is that during the winter or during the very hot summer, the leaves will die off, but the corms will still be inside, will be underground. Okay, so what happens is that every year a new corm will be growing on the top of the old corm. So as you can see in the picture on the bottom right, you have this year's corm on top and last year's corm in the bottom of it, and then at the end of it you have the older corm. So mean that this plant has been grown for 3 years. So corms, they can be dug up and used to propagate or redistribute the plants. For example, taro, you just cut one of them, one of the corm, and then you can just plant it again, it will regrow again. So generally they can be propagated by cutting the corm into sections and replanting. Suitably treated, each section with at least one bud usually can generate a new corm. This is a diagram of a corm. Okay, you can see after one season, auxiliary bud will grow, and unlike plants which have seeds, where will they get their food? They will get their food from the corm itself. Okay, so you can see the arrow goes from the corm into the leaves, so the leaf grows larger, and then it grows aerial shoots and also contract their roots. When they are old enough to make their own food, they will actually make new bulbs or new corms for themselves, meaning that the old corm is no longer needed, so they'll flatten underneath. Rhizomes. Rhizomes stem from the ancient Greek words of rhizoma or mass of roots. It is a modified subterranean stem of a plant, usually found underground, often sending out its roots and shoots from its nodes. Rhizomes are also called creeping rootstocks and rootstocks. Rhizomes develop from axillary buds and are diagiotropic or grow perpendicular 90 degrees to the force of gravity. Rhizome also retains the ability to allow new shoots to grow upwards. If rhizome is separated into pieces, each piece may be able to give rise to a new plant. The plant uses the rhizome to store starches, proteins, and other nutrients. These nutrients become useful for the plants when new shoots must be formed or when the plant dies back for the winter. As you can see, this rhizome has a lot of segments. Each segment would signify a year. At the end of this segment, there will be part of leaves or flower stalks or whatever to feed the rhizome. So as 1 year passes, these leaves will actually give food to make a new section. Okay. So what happens is that each one of these ginger, they will actually get longer as the year passes. This is a Solomon seal rhizome. So in Solomon seal rhizome, every year it will grow a new section. So the newest section will be on the left, 1940, and the oldest will be 1937. So this has been growing for 3 years. So along the years, you can see there's a lot of roots going up, emerging, and also at the end you can see there is a stalk. For example, the bamboo is a rhizome, so it is not really easy to kill bamboo. If you hack the bamboos that you can see on above the ground, they are not actually the plants. The plant is actually underground, so usually they will just regrow again. Venus flytrap is also a rhizome. Johnson grass and Bermuda grass are also rhizomes. You can see them a lot in your school field or in any field that is left alone. Okay, any secondary forest. Usually, Bermuda grass and Johnson grass will always be there, and they are usually very hard to get rid of. They are weeds. You can only kill them with weed killer or maybe by burning. If you try to use a lawnmower, it will just grow back. And lastly, ginger. Bulbs. Bulbs are a short stem of fleshy leaves or leaf bases that function as food storage organs during dormancy. A bulb's leaf bases, known as scales, generally do not support leaves, but contain food reserves to enable the plant to survive adverse conditions. At the center of the bulb is a vegetative growing point or an expanded flowering shoot. The base is formed by a stem, and plant growth occurs from this basal plate. Roots emerge from the underside of the base, and new stems and leaves from the upper side. Bulbous plant species cycle through vegetative and reproductive growth stages. The bulb grows to a flowering size during vegetative stage, and plant flowers during reproductive stage. Certain environmental conditions are needed to trigger the transition from one stage to the next, such as shift from cold winter to spring. Once the flowering period is over, the plant enters a foliage period of about 6 weeks, during a time where the plant absorbs nutrients from the soil and energy from the sun for setting flowers for the next year. Bulbs dug before the foliage period is completed will not bloom the following year, but then should flower normally in subsequent year. So the bulb, if you can see, the part that you eat in the onion will be the scale leaves. Okay, will be the storage organ, not the scale leaf, sorry. So if you leave it alone, the scale leaf will use the food within the onion to feed itself and to grow. So after a while, you can see scale leaves emerging from the middle of the onion. Okay. So when they are old enough to do photosynthesis, they will make a new one. So all of these are the vegetative modes of plants. The one that we did not touch will be the stem, woody stem, and also the tendril. Okay, so we have tuber, rhizome, bulb, corm. So we learn about 4. Okay. So summary: bulb have short vertical stems, and they keep food in fleshy scale leaves like onions. Corm will have short vertical stems, keeping their food in swollen stem bases like crocus, taro, gladiolus. Rhizome has horizontal stem, so they keep the food in entire length of horizontal stem. For example, ginger, lotus, and iris. Tuber would put it in the side branch of the stem. They put the food at the tip, for example, the potato. Advantages: rapid rate of reproduction, can retain desirable characters as offspring, are genetically identical to parents, meaning that all vegetative propagation plants, they are clones of their parents. Large food reserves are provided for daughter plants, and they do not involve external agents or another plants. So meaning that these plants are self-sufficient. They do not need any animals. They do not need you to put fertilizer, or the plant where they sit, the ground where they sit would not be needed to be quite nutritious, because they actually have their own nutrition. So other than that, they can survive conditions which are a little bit hostile. Disadvantages: overcrowding may occur, which leads to competition for water, space, and light. No genetic variation occurs, which decreases the ability to adapt to changes in surroundings, which means the disease of the parent plant can be rapidly transmitted to the offspring. So what if we have a regular plant, but we wanna try to make them grow by vegetative propagation? That's actually possible. We call it artificial propagation. For example, cutting. It is a process where a piece of branch, stem, root, or leaf, when planted, grows into a new individual. Other methods such as grafting and layering. Plants which can use cutting such as African violet, Bromelium, and Coleus. So procedures: select a healthy leaf, use a razor blade and sharp knife to cut it off. Insert leaf stalk into small pot containing some suitable soil, and you will have your tiny new plant forming within 6 to 8 weeks. So, while doing the propagation of Coleus, you need to remove some of the leaves. Why is it? It is to prevent water loss by transpiration. So, do any roots grow out of the branch? So, after a few days, there will be some roots growing up from the cut. The end. We'll continue in part 2.